Okay, learners, today's lesson is the continuation of the previous lesson. So before we start, I'd like for you to please subscribe, like the video and share with your classmates so that all of you can do better, okay? Okay, so I'd like us to look at this question. So today's lesson is based on grade 9 and grade 10 number system. So, oh, this one is okay. Okay, 10. Okay. So today's lesson is based on grade 10 number system. So it's a continuation from the previous lesson. Okay, so let's look at the first question. Determine between which two integers does the following lie. Okay, so you would want to check, not using a calculator. Okay, do not use a calculator. So you would want to know between which two integers does the square root of 12 lie. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the number 12, going to write it down, and then you say, okay, because this is a square root, you would want to find two numbers that are perfect squares, which 12 lies in between, okay? So if I'm going to look at my perfect squares, for example, how do you find perfect squares? You say 1. This is how you can find the perfect squares, okay? To the power 2. Why are we saying perfect squares are raised to the power 2? Because for you to get rid of a square root, you need to apply the exponent of 2. So you can say the square root and the power 2, they work together, okay? So, and then the next one is 4 to the power 2, 5 to the power 2, just like that, okay? So 1 to the power 2 is 1, 2 to the power 2, 4, 3 to the power 2, 9, 4 to the power 2, 16, and then this one is 25. Now, let me go back to defining the perfect square, okay? So a perfect square is a number whose square root is an integer, okay? Remember integers? If you don't know what an integer is, go back to the first video and you'll see example of integers, okay? So if I'm going to make an example of a perfect square, remember here I squared my numbers. So this number, if I'm going to put it under the square root, it must give you a whole number or an integer as an answer. So if I take maybe 4, and then I say the square root of 4, it means it's going to give me 2. Is 2 not an integer? 2 is an integer. So for you to work with this one, you must find perfect squares because they give you the square root. Okay? They give you a square root. Okay, now let's go. So first thing you do, take out this number 12, and then you would want to know between which two integers does 12 lie. And then you say, okay, 12 is bigger than something, but it's smaller than something. So I said to you, you must check two perfect squares whereby the number 12 is going to lie. Come to your perfect squares here. You have 1, you have 4, you have 9, 16, 25. So you can expand if you want. But for now, these are the perfect squares that we need. So you check, okay, does 12 lie between 1 and 4? No. Does it lie between 4 and 9? No. Does it lie between 9 and 16? Yes. 12 lies between 9 and 16. So 12 is bigger than what? It's bigger than 9, but it's smaller than 16. Then you say, okay, you're one step closer. What did you forget? Did they ask you about 12 or did they ask you about the square root of 12? They asked about the square root of 12. So now when you now put the square root of 12, it's not going to be put only at 12. You're going to put also on your 9 and your 16. Okay? So you have your 9 and your 16. What is the square root of 9? There it is. Oh, The square root of 9 is 3. And then the square root of 12 is the square root of 12. Remember, you're not using a calculator, so you wouldn't know. And then square root of 16 is 4. Therefore, square root of 12 lies between 3 and 4. Easy as ABC. Okay, and then let's look at the second one. Let's look at the second example. Let's look at the second example, B. Okay, so now we want to find between which two integers does the number cubed root of 50 lies. Okay, so you want to know between which two integers does the cubed root of 50 lie. So you say, okay, remember the first thing you do, you take out your 50, you put it there. You know 50 is bigger than something and it's also smaller than something. You go to your side, and then you say, okay, now it's no longer the square root, but it's a cubed root. Okay, so now you would want perfect cubes. Perfect cubes are numbers whereby if you put them under a cubed root, you're going to get an integer or a whole number as an answer. So the first cubed root I can think of is, okay, let me show you how you can find your cubed root. You can use the same method, but now the cubed root works with the exponent 3, because a root and an exponent, they work together. They are reciprocals. Okay, so you can say 2 to the power 3, 3 to the power 3, 4 to the power 3. If you need to work out some more, then you can do so. But for now, I think these will work. Okay, so 1 to the power 3 is 1. 2 to the power 3 is 8. 3 to the power 3 is 27. 4 to the power 3 is 64. Okay, then you say, okay, there's 64, meaning there's a number that's bigger than 50, right? You say, okay, fine. This is where we can end. You say, okay, 50 does not lie between these two. Between 1 and 8, these are too small. And then you say, okay, but 50 lies between 27 and 64. It's somewhere in between there, right? Okay, then you take your 27, and you take your 64. Then you say, okay, but they didn't ask for 50. They asked for the cubed root of 50. Then you say, okay, now I can put back my, okay, excuse me. Okay, now you say, okay, they didn't ask for 50, but they asked for what? They asked for the cubed root of 50. So it means you must take back your cubed root, but you're not going to take it back only on 50. It must also go to what? It must also apply on the other numbers. Cubed root. Okay. 64, and then cubed root of 64. And you say, okay, cubed root of 27 is what? It's 3, right? Meaning here you have 3, and then here you can't simplify without using a calculator, and you are not allowed to use a calculator. So what are we going to have? We're going to have the cubed root of 50, and then cubed root of 64 is what? It's 4. Okay, do we get it? So it means here, let's do like this. 25. Okay. So therefore, the cubed root of 50 is bigger than 3, but it's smaller than 4. So it means, therefore, the cubed root of 50 lies between 3 and 4. That's how it goes. Okay. And then I think we can do one more. And then here's the third one. We say, okay, for this one, they want to know between which two numbers does the negative square root of 28 lies. So now you see, we are back to square roots, meaning we must use perfect squares. Okay. Then you do the same thing. By now, you know perfect squares, right? So you take your 28. But now, are you going to take your 28 or are you going to take negative 28? You're going to take 28 because you're looking for the number under the root. And again, you can't have a negative number under your square root because now everything is going to be invalid or undefined. So we call those numbers imaginary numbers. So Luna, you're not doing them as yet. Okay, so you take a 28, you want to know between which two numbers does 28 lie, right? So you go to your perfect squares again. Okay, we can add 6 to the power 2, which is 36. Now you see 28 is between 25 and 26. It's somewhere here. So it's bigger than 25, but smaller than 26. Also 36. And then what are you going to introduce? You're going to introduce now a negative square root because you have a negative on the side, right? So you're now going to introduce a negative square root, meaning you're going to have negative, and your negative must be outside there. Remember, you can't have a negative number in your square root. So you're going to have negative, and then you introduce your root 25, and then negative 28, and then negative square root of 36. So whatever you're going to get here, you're going to get negative, and then the square root of 5 is what? So the square root of 25 is 5. So you have negative 5, and then you still have this number. Remember, you can't simplify this number without a calculator, and you're not allowed to use a calculator here. And then negative, and then what is the square root of 36? It's 6. So therefore, negative square root of 28 lies between negative 5 and negative 6. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Please come back for more. I'm still going to post more. I promise you this time I'm going to post. Okay. So we need engineers, we need doctors, so math is a critical subject. I need you here. I'm here to help you. So all you can do is just subscribe, like my videos, and share so that other learners can also benefit. Scholars of fish. Okay. Thank you. See you on the next one. Bye.